Hello and welcome to the operational case study strategic analysis for the May 2018 exam where the company is Mansako. I am James and I'll be taking you through this video where we look at formulating a business strategy for this company to give us some context of what to expect in the exam. So let's start just by having a quick sort of introduction to the case. So the Mansako are a manufacturer of luxury handbags, and so this is the focus of the case study. Hopefully by now you've seen the pre-scene analysis and you have a pretty good idea of the sort of where the company is and what's going on. It's a pretty complex industry and it's highly competitive, so there's plenty for us to sort of think about and talk about. So Mansako, they're one of the sort of major manufacturers and retailers based in Lowerland. So here's the sort of general approach to this video. This is what kind of our aims. So we're going to use what is called the rational planning model. And don't worry if you're not familiar with it. It's not necessarily a part of the operational level syllabus, but what it is good for is developing a business strategy. And the idea of developing or having a look at a business strategy is to go into the exam with a key idea of where the business what the business should be aiming to do, and that's going to help us when we're answering the questions in the exam in May. So let's sort of break this down and look at its components. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to start on the right hand side here and look at the future. And we're going to look at essentially this is establishing where the company wants to be in the future, where they want to be in, say, the short to medium to long term. And to do that, we're going to have to look at the company's mission and to get an idea of its objectives. And getting an idea of those things means looking at these areas around here. So the governance and ethics and their approaches to that. We'll have to do some stakeholder mapping and we'll be using the Mendelow's matrix for that. And we'll look at the critical success factors, so what the company has to get right in order to succeed. So once we've looked at the future and where the company wants to be, we need to look at the now, so where the company currently is, its current position. And we'll look at the business environment to do that, and we'll be doing a pestle analysis. We'll do a market analysis, considering the brand and the 4 Ps of the marketing mix. And that's going to help us with a SWOT analysis and looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats of the business. And also the value chain I forgot to mention there, looking at that's going to be a key aspect of understanding where the company currently is. And the idea is that once you've looked at where the company wants to be and you look at where it is now, you can kind of fill in the gap. And that gap is the business strategy, what the company needs to do to get from where they currently are to where they want to be. And so that's going to be the sort of overriding structure of this video. So the first step then is to look at the future. And the idea here is to look and to understand where the company is going based on these key areas. So we'll start by thinking about the mission. So why does the organization exist? What's it all about? Who does it exist for? What's it trying to achieve, etc. So a mission helps a company to provide a common purpose and focus for the organization's strategy, and it provides direction and guides objectives in strategic thinking, etc. So if there is no mission, you're at a disadvantage. Having a strong mission it keeps everything together. And Campbell set out the following key elements of good mission statements: purpose, strategy, values, and policies. So what we're going to do, we're just going to kind of think about each of these questions and come up with a quick few ideas to get an idea of the company's mission. Okay, so starting with purpose, if we ask why does the organization exist and for whom, essentially it comes down to making a profit for the owners and the shareholders. That's kind of the primary purpose. And so the idea is that the company wants to be profitable. So what does the organization hope to achieve in the long term? So again, we don't know for sure, but we can kind of make some guesses here. And perhaps long term, they want to be a major luxury brand, instantly recognizable, kind of world renowned. And achieving that is going to help them to make a profit for their shareholders. So we move then on to strategy and we think about how will the organization compete? What are the range of businesses it's operating within? So currently the organization is competing through producing leather handbags and other luxury goods sort of related to that made of leather. But looking towards the future, it may well consider other options, so other areas of the leather, luxury leather sort of industry. So not just handbags, perhaps wallets, purses, belts, shoes, clothing, etc. So it may consider going into a wider range of businesses and to establish itself as a major luxury brand in order to make a profit for its shareholders. Then we move on to value. So what does the organization stand for? And in this case, it's fairly straightforward. It's all about sort of quality and the luxury, that sort of the quality that luxury affords, and perhaps an element of innovation, not currently at the moment because there's a limited product range, but going forward, it might be the company has, looking in the pre-scene, they've hinted at being more innovative and having new product lines. And then finally, we have policies. So policies that people are expected to follow, which ensure people act according to the defined values, the strategy, and the purpose. So what policies do they have to ensure that they are hitting these value, strategy, and purpose? Okay, so we know they have a few policies. They have environmental policies and ethical policies. That's more to do with sort of, the ethical side of things, but perhaps there is an element in which that controls quality, and quality is obviously important to maintaining luxury handbags and being a major luxury brand. So there are some policies in place, but they could perhaps introduce some more to perhaps encourage innovation, for example. Okay, and the idea is that once you have your mission, your overriding mission, then you can come up with objectives. And objectives are a more focused target to move towards sort of direct planning, to motivate staff and enable accurate performance measurement. So we could potentially infer a few specific targets from the case study. So for example, the company they want to increase their market share. They're obviously trying to reduce internal costs in the company to keep those profit margins up. And they may want to be thinking about streamlining production, making that as efficient as possible. The finance director specifically mentioned efficiency as one of his targets. And there are more likely to be actual specific strategic targets that we just don't know about. They haven't been included in the pre-scene. And so if in the exam it suggests that there are no actual more specific targets, if they do not exist, then this is a weakness in the company's planning approach. So what we could do is to maybe suggest a balanced scorecard. That would work well to kind of help the company develop their kind of targets and mission. And there's not much evidence of a robust non-financial performance measurement in this case. And again, this could be an area of weakness and an area that the company could improve, and that in and of itself could be something that you bring up in the exam. All right, so the next step in looking at where the company is sort of heading in the future is to look at critical success factors. And these are the key things that the organization must do well if they're going to succeed. So the kind of key areas the key things that they have to hit in order to be successful. And it's very important that each of these is developed and improved to ensure that it's a strength for the business. So the first step is to identify them, and then we need to make sure that they are, as good as possible so that the company is operating to the best of its capacity. And the important thing here is to make sure that any new ideas, any new projects that are suggested in the unseen, so watching the top 10. If you watch the top 10 issues, you'll see our top 10 issues most likely to come up in the exam. If a new project or a new product line is proposed, but it is not in keeping with the critical success factors at the company, then, or if they are, obviously that's going to be important. So if they are in keeping, then you should support the strategy. If the strategy, if it considers critical success factors, then you should probably support it. But then if it's contradictory to kind of this business strategy and critical success factors, then you should question whether they are appropriate. So on the next page, we've got some sort of identified the critical success factors for this company. So the things the company must absolutely do in order to be successful are identified as follows. So they have to have high quality products. As a luxury provider, their customers expect high quality, and so they must maintain that. So it's essential for them to have quality products, and obviously that leads into a lot of other things, making sure, that the sourcing and suppliers, making sure you've got the best quality raw materials. The production process needs to be efficient, and making sure that you have quality processes there, quality assurance. There's a whole load of things that are affected by that, but the idea is it's essential for their success. They obviously have a reputation for luxury as well, so that's going to be not only do they need to have high quality products to maintain that, but they just have to maintain that image of a luxury provider, and that might be more than just having high quality products. That could be advertising and marketing too. I think IT is a critical success factor for the company. It certainly seems that IT is essential in many parts of the organization in order to keep it going. So obviously the design aspect, the sort of logistics side of things, production side of things, management information. There's quite a lot of talk in the pre-scene about IT, and so good functioning, useful IT systems are essential for the company. One of the most important things is going to be marketing. For a luxury manufacturer and retailer, marketing is kind of everything. If you've got a non-essential product, which is by definition what luxury products are, then it's all about how you market that, and that's going to be determine whether you succeed or fail. And I've also included design here. So obviously in the fashion industry, what it is you're actually selling is important, and so you have to have good designs, you have to have a good creative team, you have to have innovative new ideas at the fashion weeks, for example. And so a critical success factor is having those good designers, having the best designers who are sort of attached and well involved in the fashion world, and they're up on new trends and what's coming next. So I've included design, and so I think these are the main critical success factors for Mansako. Okay, so another element of getting an idea for where the future of the company, where it is they're heading, is a stakeholder analysis. So a stakeholder is any people or group of people who are affected in some way by what the organization does. And so obviously organizational objectives should always be considered in relation to the objectives of different stakeholders. So if the company are proposing a new target or an objective, it must be one that has considered the different views of the different stakeholders who will have an interest in how the company is run. This makes sure that a wide range of needs are considered in the objective setting process, and a balanced considered objective is produced. So in the exam, it's important that you consider new issues in light of key stakeholders. And to do that, you need to do something called stakeholder mapping. And to do that, we're going to use Mendelow's matrix. And that will basically give us an idea of which stakeholders are sort of the most important to the company. And it will help us to determine when we are coming up with objectives, which stakeholders we have to really be considerate of, and which ones we can afford to sort of be less considerate of. If it's relevant, you should refer to this as much as possible, because obviously considering stakeholders is essential to the good, successful running of any company. So just before we finish, I'd like to take you through some of the products we offer in the entire case study course. So this is just one element of the whole course, and I'll just go through the other things that we offer here. So to start with, we have a study text that is devoted to the operational case study, and that's split into two parts. The first part is a guide to how to pass the case study exam. It's full of exam tips, exam strategy, time management, preparation and planning, how to write to the marking criteria, all those kinds of things. And then part two of that study text is a condensed version of all the relevant material of the kind of things that come up in the exam over and over. So essentially it's the most popular topics that have come up in past exams from E1, P1 and F1. And so those are the 2 study texts available for the operational case study course. And we also do course videos that are roughly based around that first study text. So the exam advice and the timing, the planning, all the things that go in to preparing an exam strategy. We have an entire series of videos that go through that in detail. So if you're more of a visual learner rather than a reader, you can check those out and they'll be a great help in getting you past the exams. The pre-scene analysis is the series of 6 videos where we look through the actual pre-scene in minute detail, going through every paragraph, making notes and looking how we can use this information to better prepare for the exam when the exam comes up. Separate from that is an industry analysis, and that is a document and a video as well, so the 2 are in tandem, and the document is about 100 pages looking at the industry in which the company exists. So for example, if the case company is in the car and they're a car manufacturer, then the industry analysis would be an analysis of the car industry. And that's like I say, that's a large document where we break it down, and we're essentially, the point of that is we're doing the research for you to save you time and energy. And the really great thing about the industry analysis is that we include 25 industry examples at the end. So things that happened in the real industry. So the example I just used, it being the car industry. If we were doing the car industry, we'd take 25 examples from the car industry of relevant news and things that have happened to companies and to the industry and consumers or whatever it is. As when we get from those 25 examples, we write a little exam paragraph, the kind of thing that you can literally rehearse and put it in your exam if it's relevant. Examiners do like to see that you have a wider industry knowledge, and so putting in a little example like that can get you good marks. We do mock exams. For the operational case study, we write 3 mock exams, and we have a free mini mock that you can do that are based on the actual CIMA style case study. So they're computer based, they're online, and they're timed, and it's as close to the real thing as we can possibly make it. And that's a really good way to prepare you for the exam. Each time we write our questions based on the pre-scene that's just been released. And with those mock exams, you can get marking and feedback, and that's really essential for you to, if you do your mock exams, I would recommend also getting marking and feedback, because you can then see where you went wrong or what you did well. And the feedback allows you to improve on that. Really important part that a lot of students skip over, and they really struggle in the exam because they weren't prepared, they hadn't done the mock exams. We have masterclasses that run over a course of 2 separate weekends, running up to the exam, and they're essentially a live online class webinar where our tutor will go through with you the kind of a revision one where we're recapping on the most important topics from the E1, P1 and F1 syllabus, and one will be sort of more exam focused. And then finally, we offer pass guarantee, which means that if you meet all the requirements, so you use all these different products that are available, and you fill in a checklist to say that you've done those, but you still don't pass your exam, you're unfortunate or whatever, then we will allow you to resit our course, to take our course again at no extra charge. That's really great for people who are perhaps taking it for the first time and they don't quite pass, but they need to take the course again. If you've gone through that scheme and you've done everything that we ask you to do, then we'll give you the course again for free. Okay, and that's that. Just gives you an overview of the course that we have available.